Right. I'll do my little spiel here.
Okay.
My name is William. I'm going to be walking you through this session today. Before we begin, I have some info and a few questions for you. I'm going to read to make sure I cover everything. We're asking you to try using an application that we've been working on, as you know, see whether it works as intended. Session should take 30 to 40 minutes. First thing I want to make clear right away is that we're testing the application, not you. So you can't do anything wrong here. Please don't worry that you're going to hurt our feelings. We're doing this to improve the application, so we need to hear the honest opinions and honest reactions, the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. So as you're using the app, I'm going to ask you as much as you possibly can to try and think out loud and say what you're looking at and what you're trying to do and what you're thinking, and that'll be a really big help to us. If you have any questions as we're going along, just ask them. I may not be able to answer them right away since we're interested in how people do when they don't have someone sitting next to them to help. Kind of want the app to fall on its face if it's going to fall on its face. We'd rather have it do it here than move live out in the public. But if you have questions at the end, when we're done, we'll do a little Q&A, and I'll try to answer everything then. You might have noticed that there's a camera pointing at the iPhone. With your permission, we're going to record what happens on the iPhone screen and capture your conversation or our conversation. The recording will not be posted online. It will only be used by a few people that are actually working on the app to improve it. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Go ahead. So let me just give you the intro. So this would be right after you had downloaded the app from the App Store onto your phone and just hit the icon and launched it.
Okay. So I log in.
Yep. And none of these forums are actually live, so you can kind of tap on them, pretend you're filling them in, but the buttons are active.
Okay.
Actually, that one, sorry. And then that would be a loading screen, so you can just tap on that one as well.
What a great name. What a great title. Cancer Connect. It's strong. Okay.
It would be great if we could think about what we're doing.
Do those options make sense?
It's not taking.
So the buttons aren't, some of these aren't actually live.
Yeah,
But
that's
you'll see
right.
that
Okay.
appear. So it's kind of, because it's a prototype and it's kind of coat hangers and duct tape. The only thing that's actually live are the buttons. But what we'd like you to do is like tap on the things that you think you would use, and then the final button. And then that's another loading
Oh.
page.
Okay.
So I put this screen just for you. The last time when you were in, you had said that you weren't
Comfortable.
in the general practice of
Right.
sharing.
Right.
And that was really great feedback because I don't think that Apple does a great job with the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned a lot from that test
Oh.
because, you know, you looked at that little thing, oh, I'm not going to allow this, boom, and you just
Right.
nailed it. And it's
Right.
like, wow, now suddenly the app is a whole lot less effective.
Mm-hmm.
So that previous screen was because of your feedback last time.
Well, thank you.
You're very well. And I'm just going to explain one little area. This is a section that's in development. And what we're looking at doing is making an archive of questions that you may or may not have been able to answer, or a user, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
and archiving them so that they're right up front where they can continue to answer them, because the profile overall, until you've filled out all the questions, isn't 100% accurate
Mm-hmm.
in what
Mm-hmm.
we're pushing to you for articles and
Right.
data. So that section's not active, the rest of the stuff on the pages.
Okay. So I go on where
You can talk out loud. What do you think of the page? What is it?
it's somewhat confusing.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, am I eligible for surgery? That
This question would be based on something in the onboard that was relevant to you. So this is just a dummy question. Right
okay.
now. So if
Okay.
you had said you were unsure of something, like I'm unsure that I'm eligible for radiotherapy, you know, it would be something to ask your doctor.
Right.
But it would be related to you and your personal
In
profile.
my in my personal.
So that question right there might not be relevant to you.
Okay. But I'm going to say yes because based on my history, it is okay. I want to talk about
Go
this.
for it.
Okay.
Talk as much as you want. Love to hear your feedback.
Okay. Because we're so individualized in terms of our body makeup and how we see something psychologically and emotionally,
Mhm.
the physical, we get the evidence based on our, cancer diagnosis.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to make sure that the evidence-based treatment has a little more, not only is it medical science, but it hits all the sources of our body on an individual basis. And I think that's important to also bring up.
I think it's great feedback.
So, okay, I had 2 cancers. One was stage 3. 5 years later, I had stage 1. So is this just for one? My
This
first
would
cancer.
be
Okay.
the one you were most recently diagnosed with. So if you had one originally and then recovered from that,
Well,
or
okay.
maybe the wrong word.
Okay. The
Go ahead.
treatments, the surgery, the chemotherapy, the radiation, and good diet.
Mhm.
Having support systems, which is what I came to the wellness community at that time. It was titled the wellness community, and my own courage to make sure that I got the best care,
Mhm.
and on a physical level, and on a medical level, and then also psychologically, it was very important that I took care of myself, and the emotions were also part of my healing,
Oh, I
taking care of my healing.
totally believe it.
And then, okay, so with that information, so the stage, I think this has to be more descriptive, because sometimes that can be questionable, the stage of the cancer.
Okay.
And with my second cancer, it was totally separate. It was a different primary. And I think I was in denial, because 5 years had gone by and I was feeling wonderful. I was back to work, doing all the activities that I did before being diagnosed.
Okay.
And here I get a second diagnosis. And I was not told by my by the medical doctors that I would be getting a cancer back, because when I was on a maintenance drug, it was supposed to take care of this new primary. So
you ended up with a second primary.
Yes, second primary. And that's so important for people to be able to make sure that there's information that they could fill in.
Okay.
Because we're talking about not only the physical, we're talking about the emotional.
Yeah.
And that's feedback that sometimes is not always put into a questionnaire.
No, I think
So I'm going to bring that out because it's vital.
Oh, I think it's absolutely critical.
So, so I'm just going to put my last stage was 1. Okay. And I think there should be some descriptive information on each one, because there are similar kinds of tissues that make this, but sometimes it overlaps.
Okay.
So
what we're planning on doing for those is on a tap, they'll expand and have some more information, and you can check it. And then,
okay, but what would the description read?
It'll tell you about the cell type or the
Okay.
tumor type,
Okay.
where it might, what part of the breast it might manifest in, whether it's the milk gland or
Mhm.
the surrounding tissue or
Right.
the ducts, things like that, or if it's cellular.
Because it also hit my lymph nodes, because there's nothing about lymph nodes in that question.
We do have some stuff about lymph nodes, but it's in different places, or it's around metastases and things like that.
Okay, but it should be part of this.
Sorry about that.
Because that's very important, having a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not only the cancer in the breast, it also has hit
How far
outside.
is it spread?
Right.
Has it made it to the lymph nodes,
Yeah.
or has it made it to the lungs?
Right. And even though it's not considered a metastasis unless it shows up somewhere else beyond. So that's my understanding.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
Okay. So okay. During those years, my menopause had just been activated.
Okay.
That sounds like that's not the right answer. But I went into menopause during my first cancer.
Okay. I probably should have prefaced at the beginning, like, think about this as if you had just been diagnosed that last time as you're walking through.
Mm-hmm.
Then some of these would be more relevant.
One more, right? Yeah. And I'm curious as to why the menopausal status is part of this. I mean, who? This is for statistics only because.
No, actually, it's directly related to hormones.
Okay.
Because there are certain tumors that are hormone sensitive,
Okay.
and if you're pre or postmenopausal, it has a direct effect on the level of hormones in your bloodstream and in your body, and that has a greater effect on some of the tumors than others. So
Could we go back the next? Could we go back
Yeah.
to the? Oh, okay. Yes.
So for instance, like tamoxifen is a hormone blocker in that sense.
Right, okay.
And so its job is to get into the tumors, block those tumors receptors from uptaking estrogen or progesterone,
Mhm.
and thus growing further.
Okay.
In that actual slide.
Oh, okay. Okay, that helps because I didn't see the other. Okay.
And that would be a loading screen.
Okay.
Yeah, those dots would move and it would land you on a treatment page. What do you think of the font sizes on this page?
Too small.
Too small.
I think I mentioned first.
I have
Yeah.
different sizes in here
Yeah,
specifically because of your feedback.
Yeah, it's
So just wanted to litmus test, find out what the happy medium
it's
was.
too small. Because we want to, as somebody who reads text, I want to have the title to be larger and the font to be heavier, and then the text to be easy to read, because it's important that I go from one word to the other and not have the small reading.
How does this experience compare to your last experience when you came on the iPad? How did the two experiences compare?
It was too small.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this is a prototype of what we're going to be using. I mean, somewhat. I mean, I'm looking at this
is
and
a
magnifying it
scenario.
on a larger screen, but the font will be the same, and it's small.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that I would like to do, and I think the user testing helps dig these things up. And one of the things, like in the onboarding, I think is part of personalization. You should be able to have a slider and set the fonts to the size that you like in the onboard process instead of hiding it away in the settings.
Right.
Because then you could just be like, I want it this size. Okay, move forward. And I'll show you another page just to gauge like if the fonts are better on that other page in a few minutes. But what do you think of this page? And
I like the way it's written and spelled out. It's concise and it's easy to understand, because that's the preface, that you want to be able to understand what you're reading.
Okay.
What do you mean by event-free survival?
Event-free survival means that a certain number of people after 5 years didn't have a reoccurring relapse. So if they use that medicine, that chemo treatment, 5 years later, that certain number was still tumor-free, cancer-free.
Okay, but it's not spelled out here like you're. I think also what I like statistics
Okay.
and I like numbers.
Okay.
And
I think that's what those two are supposed to be. 9 out of 10 patients who have this treatment are alive at least 5 years after treatment. 8 out of 10 patients.
okay, why do you think this is important to put in here? And I'm talking about strictly personal.
I mean, personally,
What I mean by that is that the type of cancer that I had the first time, and that's where I'm going. Statistics was not built into the was not built in the survival status. And I think that's important because what happens is that we want to believe that our treatments are going to cure the cancer, even though we know on a subconscious level that cancer is not curable, but it can go into remission, and it does go into remission. And I don't like 8 out of 10 because that, if we look at statistics today, that changes because some of the ER blockers did not work and people get allergic to it. I mean, there's different.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out why this 8 out of 10. It's not a true statistics because people have been allergic to it. People get issues with their joints with some of these medications, so they go from one to the other to another.
Is that number too high for you?
I think so, because it's not as honest, and I'm saying honest only because I've experienced all this.
Would you still want to see a statistics there, but a more granular, well-explained number?
Yes.
Is that what you're getting?
Yeah. But people really, people with cancer, although we look to see what the benefits are, and we want to see that 8 out of 10, but it's not a realistic number. That's the key. It's not realistic.
I think it's based on, it's based on statistics, which
But it depends where are these statistics from? Is it the pharmaceutical companies that want to put this out there because they're the ones that are responsible, and they're the ones that are making an income from the medication that the patient is taking?
No, I totally get your point.
So,
I think the data we're getting is from clinical tests, clinical trials, the performance of that, and so it comes across as very clinical, and doctors are, if you look at FDA and how things are approved, it has to be a certain number for it to be approved and make it to the next level.
but I, as a lay person and a patient, this is something that I wouldn't want to see on this ad.
Okay, it's good feedback.
It's not, because it's not true. Okay. This, like you said, this is strictly to the medical establishment, and let them,
Would it help
wait.
if we wrote the source of the information on it? Would that help you
Yes.
digest the number?
Yes, it would.
Because right now, I understand it's not written clearly.
Right.
You understand?
I mean,
agree.
Am I-
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Just say it's true.
Yeah.
But that's ugly.
Yeah.
I always question the data too. Like, where's it from?
Mhm.
Like, so what
Because
did
it,
you choose
it changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds too
Uh,
optimistic.
It changes. So
No,
That's
it's
what-
great
okay.
feedback. That's exactly what I want to hear. And if you scroll down the page, consume the rest of it. Tell us what you think of some of the other stuff that's out. Is that clear? Does it make sense? Does that mean anything to you?
here again,
Mhm.
what I'm reading is that this question is wanting me to agree. And based on my history, I can't agree.
Okay.
Okay? And
No, it's good feedback.
that's not relevant to it for me. It doesn't have a relevance. And I don't know if for me, it doesn't have a relevance.
How is the language? Because we go by the assumption that the content will be relevant to you. This is a
Right,
prototype,
right,
so we're
right.
But if it were relevant,
If it were relevant,
how is the language? Is it too jargon for you? Would you be able to understand it?
I
the
would be
first
able to
time? You
understand
would?
it. Yeah. See, I like when something is spelled out. I don't like just two or three or one small sentence because that doesn't give me the knowledge that I'm looking for when I read an app. And I don't know if I would continue with this app, reading this. And you want me to go from the first question to the end of the app. And I think I would say, this doesn't hit me. I need some more information.
Can you elaborate on that? Why would you not continue?
Because it's not giving me what the intention of my wanting information.
Okay, great. Good feedback. What sort of information would you be looking for if you were to come?
Like I said earlier, I would like it to be spelled out more. And if it costs more money, and I realize apps, the less you put in there, the less cost comes.
You can say anything you want, or not.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm thinking how should I phrase this without? Yeah, I know, but sometimes it's good to bad ugly, doesn't it?
Cuss words in there. It's fine.
No.
You're fine.
No.
It's not going on YouTube.
I would like more info.
Yeah.
With each, yeah.
More info.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because somebody reading this,
Yeah.
I want to say intelligence,
Mhm.
with a good educational background.
Uh-huh.
You look for something that has more, that gives us the feedback that intellectually I'm looking for as I'm reading it.
Okay.
So, is that the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we get a broad range.
I
Because some people are like,
I
I'm
understand
crippled
that.
by this.
I
and can't
understand
even take in this level of information right now. And then there's other people who've been through it like first or second time, and they're like, I want to know the nitty gritty details. I want to know. I'm a pro. Been through this once, twice, and I'm still dealing with it. I want to know the real deal.
Right. And that's the feedback that I'm giving you here. And the first time, I would have wanted the same feedback that I'm asking for, even though I was in shock.
Uh-huh.
Because when the doctor said, you better get your affairs in order because you might not make it. My daughter's going to Harvard in Boston, and she's coming home to take care of her mother.
Yep.
I mean, so I need to have more information. And this is something that's vital. And I understand that somebody who was just diagnosed and doesn't even want to read all this. But the person that does, probably the person that doesn't want to read it will just skip it because it doesn't fit them right now. And that's important. Is it now or later? Where do you fit with this?
Yep. So part of what we're trying to do is build a profile of you, of your information, and keep you engaged, asking questions, and the more questions that are answered, the more information we can push back to you.
Mhm.
That's part of it.
Right.
And the more granular the information, so the more information we have, the more questions that are answered correctly or, in connection with your doctor, we can feed back very deep information at that point. That's the goal.
Mhm.
And then trying to tie that into medical records and
Because as a new patient that was diagnosed as a new cancer patient,
Mhm.
um, if I didn't have my spouse sitting next to me or my daughter, because I wanted all of us to be in the same room because I don't hear everything that's being said,
Mhm.
and most patients don't because there's a uncomfortable, um, there's some denial and there's an uncomfortable, the vulnerability is scary.
Mhm.
Here I'm talking about having cancer. So there's some issues that,
is there any denial?
oh yes, definitely. Because how could this happen to me? You know, I do, and I don't want to die. And that's a question. That's the question that comes up. When I first heard, I remember it was a Saturday morning, and the radiologist called me. My husband was near the phone, and he picks up the phone, and he said, "Nancy, this call is from Dr. So-and-so." And the words that he said, not hello, good morning. Mrs. Lewis, you have cancer. Now, where is the compassion? Where is that space that you need to?
See, that blows my mind.
And as I'm relating to it now, this was in 2005
Really?
Wow.
with my first cancer, and you have stage 3. Okay, what is stage? I mean, and I said, thank you very much. I hang up the phone, and 2 things happened to me. I'm going to die, and I'm going to lose my hair. That's the feminine.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my hair. And that was the denial. When I said I'm going to lose my hair, that was my denial that I have cancer. Not that so I don't know where this fits here, but it's there has to be some compassion built in here.
Yep.
And because the person that has a new diagnosis needs to have that built in. And then the person that it's a pro.
Yeah.
Or familiar or works in the field, the medical field, the establishment might not react that way. But having a diagnosis of cancer is not having a diagnosis of another condition. Okay.
Yep.
Because it's scary.
Absolutely.
And even though there's been a family member, let's say, that had cancer, it's still now me. It's happening to me, even though statistics might say, okay, you have the BRCA gene. That doesn't mean anything. What means something is the emotional attachment to having the diagnosis.
Can you walk through your experience from when you first heard your doctor to your surgery or treatment, and what were the different stages? Steps that you wanted to
The timeline.
The timeline, well, because I like to get things taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Come Monday, I immediately called the doctor, and at that time it was not the oncologist. Naturally, it was my endocrinologist, and because he's so astute and a superb clinician, he immediately brought me into his office, even though there was no set appointment, and went over what this cancer is, what the possible treatments, because it's not with the oncologist. And of course, the question that I asked is, whom are you recommending as an oncologist for this type of cancer? And he said, this person, oh, I only want you to have Dr. Rodriguez to be the oncologist. And then went into, didn't go into the treatments, but I am going to make sure that you have an appointment within the next week. So it was him, it was the doctor, not the nurse, but the doctor that took care of the needed timeline. So the timeline was shorter than what might take place. And then from there, called and had the appointment, and took about 3 weeks to decide what the treatment would be. It would be a surgery, but I needed to know what the surgeries were, how many lymph nodes were included. So there's a lot of questions that are asked, I ask, and this gives me a broader understanding of what it entails. And had the surgery. And the lymph nodes were removed, and
How many of those?
I had 6 lymph nodes.
Did they talk to you about any of the side effects you might experience?
Oh, yes, yeah, the
Having lymph nodes
lymphedema, and yeah. But I did research before, so I came prepared with questions, and I got the answers that I was looking for, and that satisfied what this diagnosis is and how the treatment.
Do you think this app would have helped you
No.
with that research?
No, because it's not as broad as what I look for.
But how would you do that? How did you do the research? What kind of sources did you trust?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think I would be more. I would add more information as well. What's needed.
Currently, we're pulling from the National Cancer Institute. We're doing stuff from the American Cancer Institute.
Right.
You mentioned last time you went to the library. While we were here, you told us you went to the library. What's that?
I went to the medical library at UCLA, and went to USC's Keck. But that's me. Whatever I'm learning, I want to know what I'm expected to be doing. And you know what it comes down to? My perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I have been my whole life,
Your personality.
and it has served me because I have used that in my professions, and I like to give people what I think they need to know.
What was your profession?
My first profession was a therapist, a social worker. I'm a clinical social worker, and then after that, 14 years. Then I went into, oh my God, my mind just stopped. I went into counseling and teaching the blind and visually impaired. We're talking about loss. We're talking about a sense that we take, that we never will lose, because we do lose vision. And people can and are born with vision loss. Yeah, that was my last profession. That's when I was diagnosed with cancer. So,
Does the hospital have enough resources on their website?
I'm sorry.
Does the hospital, the healthcare provider, do they provide you with information on the website or some other?
No.
Let's go to
Although with my second cancer, they now have screens to go on. but they didn't have it with my first semester, so they do have.
Now they
No.
What kind of what information did you expect to see from this app and will use it to help to
What is this font size? Is that an okay size?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would you still want bigger?
No, this is a good size. Because if it was bigger, I think it would be too much.
How do you,
I would be forced to see it.
can you scroll through this and tell me what you think about the length of this article? You don't have to read the whole thing. But you can
Okay.
just tell me, like, you can just kind of skim it and tell me if you think, when you scroll through the whole thing, if it's something that you would consume, if it's the right length, if it's too long, if it's too short.
No, I think it's concise. See here again. Can I make a statement?
Go for it.
Risk factors, okay, for developing breast cancer include female sex. What is female sex? And how do you answer that? I mean, I know it, but somebody reading this, what I mean by that is, did they not take precautions? I mean, this doesn't give.
No, I think it's meant to be, you can get it because you are a female, not. I think
Okay.
it's been properly-
There's also men that get diagnosed also.
Yep.
And obesity, lack of physical. This changes with what is current. I mean, they're showing and they're proving that food does not have that kind of effect on cancer, breast cancer. So when this is, I don't know if that's something that needs to be.
This particular article,
I don't-
think it came from NCI. So
Okay.
this is a,
This is not a good.
no, this is just more of a test for the font. And the other.
Oh,
thing
I
was
see.
just-
Okay, because I'm already
The-
finding fault with
Yeah.
the information.
No, it's just basically what we're looking for is like,
Okay.
we've had some feedback, like between some people, they're like, oh, these articles are much too long. And other people are like, oh, no, they're too short. So I'm just trying to get a litmus
Okay.
test, like, is that, in your opinion, based on your habits, would you blow through that article or would you read the first couple paragraphs and quit?
Well, if I don't agree with it, I would not continue reading it.
Right. I'm just talking
Okay.
in general.
In the general
like,
term, okay, general, I have to get
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
general.
Not
agreed with it.
if the details
General in
Okay,
matched
okay.
your professional quality levels, would you consume an article of this length?
Probably not.
Too long, too short?
Too long.
Okay.
And in terms of consuming the content on an iPhone versus other types of device, what are your thoughts about that?
Would you prefer an iPad or an iPhone?
iPad. I use an iPad.
Do you carry an iPad with you?
Yes, I don't. Yeah, I don't use an iPhone.
Okay.
I like to be able to type data and have more space to type it and have a visual field, which is what an iPad gives.
Yep. Good feedback.
Okay. Should I go to the next screen?
Sure.
You mentioned a couple of times that more information is expected to see. Like what kind of more information would you mind giving an example you like to see, like to use?
With this app, with this,
Just
what
for
part of-
yeah, it's like just using kind of lack of information. What kind of information would you like to see? Would you think would be useful instead of too broad or like not enough?
there's not enough information. It's not this particular information. when I read something from the National Cancer Institute, I know I'm going to be getting what is I'm getting based on quality, and that helps me.
That's where we'll be getting. Well, that's where we're getting all of our content right now.
Okay, it's very important to get it where.
Trustworthy
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to see? Can we call their stuff out, or is there?
We should call it
Can we use their logo?
our logo, their logo.
Yeah.
We're working on that, but
Yeah.
I have in my notes that Nancy would like to see the source.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, good. I think that covers everything that we have in this version for the
I
moment.
so respect what you're doing here. It's real important. I'm sorry that this wasn't.
Oh, totally. I
No,
have
no, you.
a lot of
Your
notes.
feedback is amazing. Like I said, you've already affected the app. I mean, just that last time when you were like, boom, I don't give out my location. I'm like, you just rendered the app useless. Like 1/3 of the app is like toast now because we can't tell you where the coolest doctors are. We can't tell you where the clinical trials are. We can't tell you, and I was like, okay, that's problematic and that's out of our control. That's Apple. Or is it? Wait a second. I could put a screen ahead of that screen before we make that ask and explain it better than Apple does. Right. That's what we'll do. So that was duty of.
Thank you.
So we are looking to gather feedback that we can act on next month or two, and then we're excited to be launching the next version around December, January timeframe.
I would be available.
All right. I have one more question for you. In terms of the support that you got from your friends or family, can you talk us through that experience? Who helped you? What kind of things they did for you to help you out?
I'm a very private person.
Sure.
Okay. And when I got that diagnosis, of course, my spouse and I discussed what I need to do for myself. And when I got the information from the doctors, and of course my daughter was involved with it, then I went to my supervisor and let them know that I'm going to be starting my treatments, which entail, I didn't talk to any of my colleagues. I wanted this to be strictly private. And I didn't want any kind of emotional statements from other people. That was very important. I think I might have gone to one friend and my dog. My dog, my dog, can I just talk off? When I went, not with the surgery, but when I started the chemotherapy, my dog went with me. I sat in the back seat. That dog sat with me and didn't leave my side. When I had my surgery, my dog was on that bed comforting me. He was so intuitive with what I was, with what I was going through, that dog also gave me a comfort and to go on. I know it sounds crazy because unless you're a dog, unless you're an animal person, but I'm very sensitive to animals, and I know that they have intuitive qualities that we don't always look at.
There's a world famous cat who has lived in a nursing home for I don't know how long, and they knew who was going to die by who the cat covers it. Like he knows something that the doctors don't know, and they watch for him to see who needs help. It was crazy, and he has like 90-something% accuracy rate.
I believe that because
crazy.
I also follow a very spiritual path, and Can I tell you something really interesting? It has
Sure,
nothing
sure,
to do with
absolutely.
this. I meditate, and I meditate with Siddha Yoga,
Mhm.
and it's one of the oldest spiritual um, vitalities to the way a person sees life and lives their life. And there is a guru. You we have gurus, okay?
Mhm.
And this particular yoga is honoring the self and everyone, and sees the heart in everyone, not the personality, but the heart, because and see the person as God's chosen child. Okay. Well, Saturday I was asked to, and there's a temple that I go to. Now it sounds silly, but to bathe the guru, and this is a statue, a huge wooden statue, and I did, and it was such an honor to be asked. And I had a 9-page instruction sheet on what to do. And when I left there 2 hours later, this was from 10 o'clock in the evening to midnight. I'm the only one in the temple. When I left there, if God wanted to take my life right there, I would have said yes. It was so enlightening. I had such an enlightenment that with love and compassion. So I had to say that. I had to talk about that because my daughter, who's back in Boston, she's always wondering how I'm doing because
Mhm.
with my husband passing away a couple years ago, I'm doing well because I have a good support.
Mhm.
And this was an amazing experience. And then it was something very auspicious because of the time of the day and where I'm not going to go any further, but it was wonderful. And I don't think I would have been as free if I didn't have cancer because my life has such value. My life is so much more valuable.
Well, I think a lot of people.
So I'm
Live
sure
on
you
autopilot.
hear that people who have been diagnosed with cancer sees it as a reverence to what life is.
Mhm.
So I just thought that just added to how I live my life
That's
today.
beautiful.
So don't put that in. This is strictly my